We've got an armadillo jumping off the ground. Pretty exciting. H is equal to negative 16t squared plus vt plus s. Trying to make my s not look like a 5. Sometimes they will give you the velocity, the initial velocity. Sometimes they will give you the height. It's important to know what's going on after that point. So when we're trying to write this equation out, we need to know that the initial velocity was 14. If you're jumping from the ground, the initial height is 0. So when I rewrite this for this particular situation, you get negative 16t squared plus 14t, that's our initial velocity, plus 0. You can write the plus 0 or not. I'm not going to because it's not needed. But if the initial height is 0, s simply goes away. How many seconds does it land off the ground? Well, it'll land on the ground when the height is 0. So I put a 0 in for height. I'm going to factor out a 2 and a t. And so I'll get 8t minus 7. Because I factor out a negative 2. And now negative 2t could be 0. Or 8t minus 7 could be 0. So I've got two plausible times. At t equals 0, or at t equals 7 over 8. I'm going to use 7 over 8 because at time 0, he just started jumping off the ground. And if you draw a little graph, if I've got my little armadillo guy here, and he jumps off the ground and then lands over here at time 0, this is when he first jumped. He's going to come up and fall back down. This is time 7 over 8. So naturally, 7 over 8 will be our only answer. Looking at 41, we're dropping a penny. Again, we're going to start off with our generic fall equation. And yes, pretty much every time you're falling, just different velocities. Not important. Your initial height is 4, and if you drop something, at the instant you drop it, the velocity is 0. So our initial velocity is 0. Our final equation, negative 16t squared plus 4. The vt goes away because v is 0. So v0 times t is 0. After how many seconds does the penny land on the ground? You've got h is equal to negative, 0 for height, negative 16t squared plus 4. Factor out what's in common. I'm going to factor out a negative 4. So 0 is equal to negative 4. 4t squared minus 1. Perfect square minus a perfect square, so 0 is equal to negative 4. 2t plus 1. 2t minus 1. And you will get 2 times. T is equal to negative 1 over 2 from right here. And then t is equal to 1 over 2. Some of you are saying, well, what's this negative 1/2 mean? Well, when you drop something, it's going to slowly accelerate as it falls towards the earth. The negative is pretty much just the opposite leg. So like if someone had thrown it up and then it came back down. That's what that negative 1/2 means. But you are, of course, going to use the positive 1/2 because after you drop something, time moves forward. It will be positive. So the time to hit the ground, half a second. That's our final one. For these particular types of problems, I apologize, didn't put those last ones up there. For these particular types of problems, put in what you know, solve it down, get your times, and then choose the one that's appropriate. In the case of 41, got to choose that 1/2 because we don't want a negative time. In the case of 40, you've got to choose a 7 over 8 because at time 0, the armadillo was still on the ground.